welcome to another episode of Horace. Today we're doing Chapter 6. Yesterday's episode was really quick. Chapter 5 was so easy. Let's see how Chapter 6 is. A false friend and a shadow attend only while the sun shines. Chapter 6. Friends aren't always what they seem. Is that me in the shadows?
It was obvious the security lights would set off an alarm. I needed to find somewhere to hide, or the guards would kill me.
Dude, this guy's watching this door like a fucking hawk.
According to Mr. Sultan, this was the switch that would open the laser door to Mr. Logan's cell block.
The cell block H needs to get turned off. Let's scoot up here. Control room. Cell block H is that way. There we go. Let's hide for a second. Go. I'm kind of stuck at the moment. See, obviously I didn't turn off the lasers for the cell block. Oops. Ah. Still getting used to these controls again. So there's a control room. I'm pretty sure I turned all that off then.
Mr. Silton seemed to think this would open the self-lock door. Luckily, he was right.
Alright. Oh, crap. That's not junk, is it? No, okay, good. Stand on the wall here. Wait for these guys to get out of here and go. Oh, shit. I think this guy keeps walking, yeah. Do that. Instead of run, I jump. Go in here and jump up. Oh. Alright, in here. Now that's finally open. Alright, this is all new stuff, finally. Alright, how many blocks we got? Oh,
unsurprisingly, Mr. Logan's cell was locked, but, thanks to my speedy brain, I was able to hack it in seconds. Mr. Logan was not pleased to see me. No one ever was. But I couldn't work out why. However, when I mentioned Mr. Sultan, he soon cheered up. We quickly made our way outside. Although I wasn't sure about Mr. Logan's stealth techniques, they were quite different from mine. But someone must have noticed Mr. Logan was missing.
He's all killing people.
With a bright flash, we were soon attacked. This still wasn't the plan.
Mr. Sultan was shot. His wife specifically said,
okay.
Don't
and
get shot.
No, I didn't need to clean up the trail of blood. He did, however, urge me to take care of the huge tank bearing down on us.
Oh shit. Oh, come on. I gotta get this. I gotta get this guy like right away. That's all these shots. There we go. Not that hard, honestly. Mario's harder than this. Yeah, what, one more? Yeah, okay.
We all piled into the van.
There you go.
Mr. Logan and Mr. Preston took out large guns as Mr. Silton gave me some driving software. It basically explained that one foot pump made the van go, and the other one signaled Mr. Logan and Preston to fire their guns.
Do I have to steer? Jesus Christ. Okay, there we go. Alright, cool. This is a cool game.
that all the bullets fired led to non-fatal wounds, but statistically that was incredibly unlikely. Strangely, I felt too excited and relieved to care. Mr. Silton winced as he clutched his bleeding shoulder and explained how you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. I think broken eggs meant dead people. Sometimes, he said, you have to do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means killing.
But not innocent people,
said Mr. Logan as he stared straight ahead. Eventually, I asked Mr. Logan what he had done to end up in prison, but he just continued staring out of the window.
Gotta move the basket.
Mr. Preston smiled as he said, I suppose someone should explain. He told me when the war started, he and Mr. Silton had avoided conscription, but Mr. Logan was called up. His unit's first orders were to sweep through a huge urban area, killing anything that moved. The only trouble was, hundreds of refugees had recently taken shelter there. The generals knew that those people were there, said Mr. Preston, but they couldn't have cared less.
This isn't the time for another one of your conspiracy theories,
interrupted Mr. Silton. Although this obviously annoyed Mr. Preston, he continued explaining how Mr. Logan and another man deserted, and, after a poor attempt to hide in a wooden vaulting horse, the pair of them were caught at gunpoint on a train, whilst trying to speak rudimentary German. Mr. Logan guided us down a small side street as Mr. Preston complained that he needed the toilet. Mr. Silton asked why we were taking the scenic route while he was trying not to bleed to death. But Mr. Logan gave Mr. Silton a quick glance. You're fine, he said with the faintest of smiles.
You're fine.
Soon the night sky was full of twinkling stars, and I was able to impress everyone with my navigation skills. The software was state-of-the-art, but I remember Heather telling me how the ancients had used the stars in much the same way. It always made me smile, thinking about the names she gave the constellations. It was the middle of the night by the time we got back, but Mrs. Silton was still up waiting for us. Really, again, in the same place, was all she said as she shook her head and tended to Mr. Silton's second bullet wound. Mr. Preston nearly knocked us over as he sprinted towards the bathroom. It appeared that his body had kept on making urine, even though it didn't have anywhere left to store it. I asked Mr. Silton about Heather and the old lady, but he said he was just about to wash his hair. When I asked him again later, he said the main thing was that we'd got Logan and the van back, and couldn't the rest wait until I had cleaned up the band room for him. I didn't know what to say. Everything we had done, everything I had helped him with, I thought it was all to get everyone back together. But now I didn't know what to think. Before I could say anything, Mrs. Silton explained that it was okay if I only travelled on trains and was alone. I must have looked worried as Mrs. Silton smiled and continued, if you really want these idiots to go with you, they can disguise themselves and catch the next train after you. Mr. Silton was dismissive, and said I'd get nowhere without proper ID. They'll be stopping robots for even the tiniest of things, he said. And a robot passport costs a fortune these days. Well, said Mrs. Silton, it's a good job I've got this. Mr. Silton looked confused and asked where Mrs. Silton got the money. Sometimes, said Mrs. Silton, when God slams a door in your face and shoots you twice in the shoulder, he opens a window. Mrs. Silton explained how Preston had given her the extra money. He said there was good money to be made selling pills and powder to people that distracted them from the world being an absolute mess. Bedtime, said Mr. Logan as he carried his guitar into his room. Everyone else left one by one, leaving me stroking the dog.
More flying. that just the finish line? I was like,
I
I don't
awoke
think I
to
could
the
reach
sound of
that.
Mrs. Silton making herself some breakfast. It felt very early, but I suppose it was just that we had gotten so late. Mrs. Silton gulped down her coffee, and with a reassuring smile she said, "Let's do this."
Okay.
The pedestrian tunnel was far longer than I expected, but it was nice. It gave me a chance to chat with Mrs. Silton. She told me she was from an upper-class family, and
That's
that her
pretty cool.
parents had nearly
Okay,
disowned
it's Mario
her
and
when she
Luigi.
married Mr. Silton.
I'll get a screenshot of that. Can't run
But she
'cause
said
she's
she
pregnant.
really was happy being with her husband. And after all, as she put it, he did provide for her in this messed up world. However, I couldn't help but laugh when she said how much she liked Mr. Silton's band.
Oops, can't forget that. Oh. I don't know why
I
it takes
steered
so long
the
to pick shit
conversation
up.
onto the topic of the war. She explained she had been a nurse near some major combat, but she looked really sad, so I changed the subject. I asked her if the town was nice. Mrs. Silton smiled, and described it as a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
But, so it's not nice. All junk cleared. Now where we go? Probably not this way. She's all, I'm leaving, bye. Weird, did she think I went somewhere? Where the hell was she going? Let's stay here for a sec. Yeah, she was taking on. Alright, lady, come on. Bye. I think I broke her. I wouldn't be surprised.
Train tickets cost 1,000. So Mrs. Silton said I should trade in some of the things I'd cleaned so I could afford to travel. However, when we tried the door, it was apparent that the junkyard owner wouldn't be back for a while. So Mrs. Silton suggested I try to earn some money by other means. She said there were plenty of jobs in the town that a robot could do.
Okay. Help wanted. Arcade. Robot dyers. What's going on here? What's going on here? I have no money. Looks like I gotta go in the help wanted place, right? Where's the strip club? I'll work there. Mr. Silton's wanted. Ooh, there's another one. You got shit for sale?
The rickety old door led into some kind of drinking establishment. But the bartender soon made it clear that, as he put it, they didn't serve my kind here, and that I would have to wait outside.
Wow. Robot dryers. Is that place closed?
Suddenly, as if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared. "Hello, sir," he said. If there's something that catches your eye, just pick it up and bring it over to me.
Like what? You got any special shoes? Clean, yeah. See, I need speedy clean. I was wondering about that. She was like, I need to be able to pick shit up faster. Alright, let's make some money. Absolute brick. What do you guys do
The
here?
foreman explained the job to me. I would be making bricks.
What's in here? Ticket to ride. He's alright. Those tickets too, huh? Alright. More help.
The post lady explained the job to me. I would be sorting parcels.
What are these for? Yep. One journey, any route.
Mind the doors. The train is now departing.
What was I supposed to get on?
Mind the doors. The train is now departing.
Was I supposed to do this?
Mr. Deck's TV studio was deep inside the bombed-out buildings of Big City.
Big city, this is big city.
Big city. This is big city.
Mind the doors. The train is now departing.
Bye. Oh, that's a bigger train station. Can't climb the walls here. Hopefully
Once
there's
I'd made my way out of the
more
station,
money opportunities.
Mr. Silton and the others jogged up alongside me. As soon as they got the chance, they ducked into an alleyway to change their clothes. Mr. Silton was the first to change. Deck's studio's down that way, he said, in that huge posh building, the British Corporation of Truth. The Corporation of Lies and Propaganda. A wretched hive of scum and villainy, said Mr. Preston. And dancing competitions, said Mr. Silton. There are some benches at the other end of the road. We'll wait there till the crew leave, then sneak in through one of the loading bays.
Alright, sounds like a plan. Is it the same game? It is. Can't run around here? Let's run, yo.
While we walked, I asked how Mr. Deck had ended up back on television. Celebrities weren't very keen on walking down the red carpet at awards ceremonies with bombs falling from the skies, explained Mr. Silton. But they still craved attention and
How am I
validation,
supposed to
so
get
the
back
solution
there?
was to host one big award show in a giant underground bunker at Burlington.
I've seen that disc way up there. The floppy disk.
You can't broadcast from deep underground, so they had to run cables to the transmitter through a vent on the surface. A bomb-sized vent, as it turned out. It took a great shot. 1 in a million.
But they got it.
The lack of survivors meant Z-listers like Deck were now the A-list by default. Just then, Mr. Logan interrupted, saying it was time to move.
First I gotta do all the hard work, right? Oh, alright, I see. Shit. Okay. And jump. not supposed to do it like that. There we go. Okay, like that, alright. Oh, what a dork. Okay, at least they saved me there. And go. Here it goes. No, we want to jump off from right here. Or not. I guess we can do this. What? There we go. What is this thing? Yeah. I tried to like stall. Alright. Go, go, go. No. Damn, I think I'm supposed to jump out of it. Oh, come on, I wasn't holding run. Ah. Oh, shit. I want all that shit. Was that all of it? There we go. You have to touch it, then it'll come to you. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Well, shit, now what, guys? Okay, let's go this way. Huh. And then let's skip that one maybe and jump down there. Huh. Oh, yeah. Alright, let's go here and then run and jump. Okay, if I jump here, and then jump down here. Alright, get this junk here. I like garbage. Let me get this switch. Or are we already done? Yeah, made it to the vent.
Robots are allowed pretty much anywhere in the building as long as they look the part, whispered Mr. Silton. You just need to be wearing no clothes, and have the blankest of faces. I didn't really like the sound of that, but I realized it was the only way I'd be able to get in.
He's been dressed since like he was
So
born.
I took off my suit and made my face blank. Blanker, said Mr. Silton. Blanker with an ER, said Mr. Silton again. Well, I suppose that'll have to do. Deck's dressing room is in some lavish suite, said Mr. Silton as Mr. Preston and Mr. Logan lowered me into the empty corridor below. Have a look around, whispered Mr. Silton, and we'll catch up with you in a bit.
You got it. Come on, pick it up. Let's go this way first. Oh, those are junk. Hello. Yep, looks like we're going up. Ah. Okay, I can't get on that wall. Ah! Grab the whole thing. There you go. Ooh. Is that the laser beam? What's that gonna do? Kill me? I was gonna shoot. Alright. As long as they don't shoot like homing seeking missiles. Oh, give me a break. I was all trying to take it easy, but no. Shit. Hey, looks like Nixon. Oh, that's not supposed to happen, yeah. That's why I did that last time. I like junk. Down here, more junk. What the hell is this? Okay. Woo. Bam. Here we go again. Hello. Oh, I thought I was gonna get hit by the bus. Actually, it's kind of worth seeing all that and dying there. Shit. I don't know why I didn't jump pick the first time. Like, there. Hop off this shit or what? That's close. It all got dark over here. Ah. Ah. We're almost there. What did I see? All junk cleared.
As I approached the group of people, a man in a white lab coat was demonstrating what he called the future of robotics. He said
It's starting
if
to get sunny
anyone
outside.
interested would be able to see it in
Might go
action
for a
on one
ride.
of the sound stages later today. It's much better than these old models, he said as he stared at me. My
Yeah.
new version does exactly what you
He's the
tell it
best
to.
model. What are you talking about? Alright, I see garbage. Get the junk first. I gotta go check out that dressing room there.
Now, this was clearly worth something.
What, that is a safe, huh? What was that? All junk cleared. Okay. Can I climb on these walls? No. Go figure. Anything good over here? It's a locked door. Alright. Wow, this one's a little... Oh, did I seriously get hit there? Shit. Hey buddy, come on back. Oh shit. Did I just skip that section? Ugh. Dude, that was something else. Yeah, I did skip that section. Oh, fell down there. Sorry, I needed that garbage. Oh shit. Come on, seriously? Like that. Oh shit. That was cool. Let's go in here for like a save spot.
Some things were worthless junk.
Maximum security. What's in here?
No wonder people wanted to be on television so much. TV studios were full of video games.
More video games. Alright, here we go, right? I don't have any guys in here. Can I like scratch anything? Ah, I got one.
This was one of the most valuable things I'd seen.
Let me into the area I need to get into.
Know how much this was worth, but it looked expensive.
Seriously. What's this? I know I want to go the other way. Hey, wait a minute. That's that tent.
As soon as I entered Mr. Deck's dressing room, he shouted, "Get out." I said I don't want to be disturbed.
Uh-oh.
I was so shocked that I couldn't keep my blank face. Mr. Deck looked confused. "It's you, isn't it? Get away from me, you yellow bastard," he said as he reached for a huge red alarm button, but he was interrupted by Mr. Silton falling from a vent in the ceiling. "All right, Deck," smirked Mr. Silton.
I gotta go back for all that stuff,
And
yo.
it's Mr. Deck if you don't mind, replied Mr. Deck as he hammered on the alarm button. "Quick,"
ain't gonna do
said
nothing.
Mr. Silton as he turned to me, "find a way to stop that alarm."
There were 4 alarms left to turn off.
Obviously, I didn't go do all of this little stuff here.
There were 3 alarms left.
Oh.
There were 2 alarms left.
Did you see the kids? They're getting ready to just take off, go to the church. Okay, good. I was hoping you'd see them before they took off. At least it's collected. Almost. Shit.
There was 1 alarm left.
There we go. Just like this.
I had completely turned off the alarm.
Nice. To go.
A serious-looking security guard walked into the garden set, so I quickly approached him. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I knew I had to keep him out of Mr. Deck's dressing room. I attempted to resume the blank face that Mr. Silton had shown me as I announced that Mr. Deck was not to be disturbed. For some reason I said it in an unusually high-pitched voice, which didn't seem helpful. The security guard's eyes narrowed. Now in a full panic, for some reason I decided this was a good moment to do the finger guns for the first time. The large man shoved me out of the way. But quick as a flash Mr. Logan had appeared and snapped his neck. Sorry, had to be done, was all he said before running back toward Mr. Deck's room. I didn't know you shredded the axe, said Mr. Logan as he placed an acoustic guitar into an ornate sarcophagus. I don't, said Mr. Deck, I got it for Elton John to sign. For once, everyone else looked as confused as I did.
Elton John plays the piano.
We'll take this wine, and this portable TV, said Mr. Preston as he packed the coffin with as many expensive things he could find. These bathrobes are pretty fancy as well. Put those down, said Mr. Deck. Elton John gave me those. What's with you and Elton bloody John? Asked Mr. Silton, but Mr. Deck just looked angry. Why are you doing this? He said. There's easier ways to get good wine and cheese. You can't just burst in here and take my stuff. A large smile crept across Mr. Silton's face as he said, Oh, it's not just your stuff we're taking. You try to take me anywhere, said Mr. Deck, and I'll scream this place down. I know people in high places. I'll have you executed, and that little yellow bastard dismantled. My father is the head of the BCT. But Mr. Silton's smile widened as he pulled out a bag full of familiar-looking mushrooms.
You ready to fry balls?
Robot, take the sarcophagus this way back to the loading bay, said Mr. Silton. We'll climb back through the vents and meet you there.
No. I forgot all that good valuable stuff, man. What the hell am I supposed to do about that? That makes it jump the first time. Go. Hey, it's the Back to the Future board, the hoverboard, and the shoes. Friday the 13th. Don't even know what the cube is. The whatchamacallit. Hey, there's Zoltar. I want to be big. There's Wilson. So that's the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know where the bumper card's from. I don't know what, the bowling ball, that's Kingpin. With the rose, right? Looks like a bowling ball, yeah. Yeah, Back to the Future, Friday the 13th. I don't know. Castaway, Big, Kingpin, some Roman thing back there. That's it. So I'm just trying to take a break here. Okay, I think I gotta throw him down here, right? Okay, now can I jump to the ceiling or something? I'm gonna jump back on this shit. This guy. You don't. Just move on, dude. You didn't hear nothing. That was me. Am I supposed to put him on that lift? Yeah. Alright, move, dude. Got business to do. 3, 2, 1. got Herbie the Love Bug, the Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider, and it's just a rabbit. Come on, guys. Do you know where it's from? It might be a rabbit. I don't know. Looks like a rabbit. Help! Oh, we're almost to the... Oh. Looks like we're almost to the exit, boys. This game's pretty cool. Nobody gonna help you struggle. Oh, that was good. He was all on his head. I wonder what it would have been like inside of that
studio
thing.
set was quiet. In fact, he worried that it was, as he put it, too quiet.
A little too quiet.
So, as per usual, it was me that went first.
Of course, I'm expendable. Oh, it's a robot battle, yo. Jump on his head or something? Yeah. That leeway, man. Alright, here's your pissed off move. That's another one. See, his moves aren't that hard. Hey buddy, I don't want to hurt you. Knock that thing off your head. There you go. Hello. Every time I rise me. He's all damn you, robot. Just go. I'm gonna tase you with this cattle prod. Oh, Jesus. Go back and save that guy.
Once away from the studio, we were able to duck down a few dark alleyways. I think we're safe, said Mr. Silton. You get dressed and head back to the train now. We'll wait here and travel back later with our cargo.
I missed a whole bunch of stuff in there though. Thanks for watching this episode of Horace. That was one long ass episode. It took a long time. Hopefully it wasn't too long for you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Mixer, Twitter, and Instagram. Hopefully I'll see you in the next episode.